In the beginning, there was the Triforce, and the goddess Hylia sent to watch over the Triforce, I guess. Oh, Demise. I don't think Girahim's gonna like being stuck in the... Well, there he goes. Problem solved. So Demise eventually curses everyone. My hate never perishes. It is born anew in a cycle with no end. He wants you to vote. Those who share the blood of the goddess and the spirit of a hero, they are eternally bound to this curse. Which is why you have the other almost 20 games in the franchise. Plus all the, what I call the bullshit games. Like, well, literally the BS Legend of Zelda. It's the Teleview games. You got the Scribblenauts Unlimited, has some of that. It's crossbow training. Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land and stuff. Tingle's Balloon Trippo Love. Link and Soul Calibur 2 on the GameCube. Super Smash Brothers, the WarioWare games. Captain Rainbow from Japan. Too Much Tingle Pack on the DSi. Yeah. So you're sealing his essence into the Master Sword, where it will eventually decay, and his curse will eventually subside. They explained this, I think it just ended in, must have been Wind Waker. They didn't specifically say it that I recall, but that's kind of like the end of Ganon and Demise. You still have Malladus and stuff, but I think that's the end of Demise. In Breath of the Wild, they say he used his last breath, all of his incarnations, no more resurrection to maximize his power, blah blah blah, which must be the same in the original Legend of Zelda, because his minions are trying to resurrect him in that sequel, Adventure of Link. Unless they're just trying to resurrect that Ganon, but that game is the end of the timeline anyway, so, I mean, for now at least. Yes, it's all over. It's how I felt the first time I played the game. I'm like, oh, finally, it's over. No more bad controls. This game really, I dislike the controls. Once you play the game, 2 or 3 times, then you get past the learning curve. And then the game's pretty good. But the controls just ruin it. They're just not that... They're not robust. They break easily, even with the Wii Motion Plus. It's just not perfect. I was very disappointed when I first played because I thought it would be like a sword slashing to the right and left. Someone slashes me with a sword and I can block it with my sword. And it turns out it's more of a laser pointer with a range of motion of like a square foot. Hey, quotes outside the period, thank you. Periods and commas, always, always, always go inside the quotes. Thank you, Nintendo of America localization team. That says Hylia. Then you hear Fi's theme. And I've said before, but since Fi is the spirit of the Master Sword, that's why she's got crisscross leggings, and when she spins around, her cape billows outward like a handle. Return to the sword to enter a sleep without end. So she doesn't die, she's just like in a coma. I think she's just dormant in the Master Sword for all those years. And she's there kind of sealing Demise's essence away. She's sealing darkness, keeping him from coming back, while his essence eventually decays, and I guess she will go on to guide the Master Sword and call the chosen hero. That's why the Master Sword is kept in a pedestal, so that Fi can basically be in a coma, sealing away Demise, versus being in use with some a-hole and being in service of somebody that'd probably just drain her battery. Now, it could be that Fi is locked in this eternal battle with Demise, where her essence is pitted against his essence, and she'll win. It's like shining 2 flashlights at each other and seeing which one will burn out first, and Fi has more battery, so she'll win. that would explain why the Master Sword loses some of its power in, say, Wind Waker, or why it's not that powerful of a sword in Breath of the Wild, and why it's not even in the original Legend of Zelda game. I mean, they have Magic Sword, maybe that's it, but that's one theory, but I've never really thought of it like that. So the sword is sealed now in the Temple of Hylia, where Impa will watch over it for a millennia. Impa is the Sheikah, and I guess her tribe kind of served the goddess since time unknown. You'll notice there's some Hylian script behind that, kind of faded in all the text boxes. I've never been able to decipher that. Never stays in one place long enough, and there's always text over it. The human spirit of abuse, so you will understand it. Prepare to sleep within the Master Sword forever. Which means, I mean, they left it open. They could call her back in a future game. It's not like she has a battery that needs to be recharged. Or maybe she does. Because they've kind of explained it. Master of Abuse. That's why I named it that way. So he's leaving the Master Sword in the past, which means technically now it was there the whole time, which kind of makes two timelines, like this parallel short-term timeline where Zelda was sealed in that cocoon where she helped keep Demise from escaping. But now the real timeline is that Link made the Master Sword and then dropped it in the past, and it has been behind that door the whole time. But if he had just plucked it from the stand and used it in the first place, then there would be no one to construct the Master Sword, and it would never get made, and it's this catch-22. Meanwhile, in the past. Link goes to the past. Can't believe Zelda's sleeping behind that door. Tee-hee. What was that? She's hiding behind something. Tee-hee-hee. Last remnants of Demise are decaying slowly within the sword, and that's the important part. So it's in the Temple of Hylia now. Eventually it makes its way into the Lost Woods. And the timeline splits, so you see kind of similarities between games. It's what would happen in one dimension versus another, one timeline versus another. It's the whole Back to the Future alternate 1985 thing. The whole thing splits on Ocarina of Time, including one where Ganondorf won. Yeah. That bit she said there was important, that's why it was gold. It's also gold because the goddess Hylia spoke it. Anyway, I like to think of the three timelines as the three branches of the Triforce. One for Link, one for Zelda, and one for Ganondorf, who has the Triforce of Power. They say specifically in like Hyrule Historia that Ganondorf beat Link, or Link was fallen in battle. Which doesn't explain the Seasons games, where Link has to fight against Twin Rova when you beat the two of them. So if he lost to Ganon in that battle, then he would have already beaten Twin Rova, and Twin Rova wouldn't be there. I mean, you actually saw them die with halos, and they went up to heaven. So how can they, resurrect the big bad guy? I forget who it was, Ganon. An Oracle of Seasons, an Oracle of Ages. You beat one game, and then you beat the other game with the carryover data. It's cool this technology kind of carries over into Breath of the Wild. The Sheikah magic. Like, Impa used the grenade to blow up the other Gate of Time outside the Temple of Time. Which is kind of what they have in Breath of the Wild. Link using the Sheikah Slate. The magic of, a tablet. And yes, I've pointed it out before, but she's wearing one bracelet. So, old Impa was young Impa the whole time. Gasp. Anyway, back to Ocarina of Time. They say that Ganondorf beat Link. Maybe he beat him vicariously through his other minions. Twinrova at the very least. Koum and Kotake, I used to say. It's really like Kotaki. Koume and Kotaki. Never heard an official pronunciation. Kome sounds better. And she disappears like all the monks in Breath of the Wild. See, it all fits together. But anyway, maybe you could have it so that Zelda sent Link back to his own timeline in Ocarina of Time. Which means he wasn't there, kind of altered the past. He went off looking for his horse and his fairy, Navi, whom I used to call Navy because she was blue, but Navi because of a navigational, GPS thing kind of makes sense. And then he wasn't there because he was a little kid and he was there, and then Ganondorf was unopposed because Link was a little kid. And instead of doing all of that, like he did in another dimension, problem solved. The next game in the series is Minish Cap. They call it Minish Cap, then they say it's like the Picori, or the Picori, but I think Picori. The little people that kind of hide things might be responsible for some of the rupees and hearts and things you find in the grass. Then you're treated to the credits, which, is apart from the flawed system that the game designers aren't responsible for, it was a good game. And they show you these cutscenes about Zelda. She's wearing her Skyloft garb there. So Girahim had a black tornado that launched her down to Earth. But wouldn't you know it, old lady Impa remembers all of that. Went there to meet her. Probably used some Sheikah magic to make her land outside the temple. Old lady Impa was probably like,
"Oh shit! I forgot to help her with the Skyview Temple. Better go do it now."
And when Zelda was kind of stroking out at the beginning of the game, it was probably Impa calling to her. Gets her through the Skyview Temple in the woods. Which, there were spiders and moblins and stuff, but whatever. Then she made it somehow up to the Earth Temple. Once she changed her clothes and got all Impified. But young Impa probably went to the future to save her. With her Sheikah magic. He doesn't look like a bomb from Breath of the Wild. Translates over. Probably helped her open the locked doors and stuff too. In the old defunct ruins of the Temple of Time, where she takes Zelda back to the past through that one gate that she then blows up to keep Girahim from following. where Zelda regains her memories of why she became immortal in the first place, to use the Triforce, and or to have Link use the Triforce. It's kind of a plot hole there. She wants to be immortal to use the Triforce, but I guess she needs to have a knight to get the Triforce. She's like, I'll use it, but you get it. So I'll basically just use you to... I'll flirt with you to use you to get the Triforce so that I can wish Demise away. Anyway, then she sits there in her little slumbering chamber, her mere presence being a light that keeps away the shadow of Demise coming back, blah blah blah. And that looks kind of like a Deku tree with curly ears, a la Wind Waker. And the music is the original theme, which was originally going to be Ravel's Bolero, I believe. But it wasn't public domain, so they had to come up with something different. If you look up that song, you're like, holy crap, that's very similar. This game on the Wii came with a little bonus CD, a music CD, that had a lot of really good songs on it, including The Ballad of the Goddess, and a lot of stuff from, like, Twilight Princess. So theoretically, all of those islands are still up in the sky. The Isle of, you know, the third of Skyloft that had the giant statue on it came down. But when Demise was defeated, and so was Girahim, the cloud cover disappeared. I guess after all of this, and, you know, Zelda's regained her memories and all her magical goddess powers, but not, because she's immortal. Then there is no need to keep a cloud barrier to keep Demise from going up to the surface, or going up to Skyloft, and keep Skyloft folks from coming down to the surface. So now the Loftwings can travel back and forth. Food poisoning. Good locales, though. This is a good ending cinematic. And you see the giant dunes of robots. Eiji Aonuma! Shigeru Miyamoto, the man! Did the original Zelda and Mario. Satoru Iwata. Poor guy died after this game came out. Which is why in Breath of the Wild there's a Satori Mountain. And the Triforce just hovers there. And I guess everyone's disciplined enough not to go use it. Or they're not in balance of power, wisdom, and courage, so they're not capable of using it, only getting power from a third of it, like Ganondorf did. But wait, that's not all. Now there's an ending cinematic about what happens and sets up other games. See, without the cloud cover, Link's Loftwing can fly down, so can Zelda's. And Headmaster Gapora. Gapora, Gabora, and Headmaster Gapora. A little dude that I cursed for eternity. He's going nuts over the little birds. I notice how their Loftwings look the same as them. So in the past, I guess it must have still been hidden away in Skyloft. If Link were smart, he'd go up to the sky in the past, fly up there, get the Triforce again, and come back down and say, alright, Demise, I'm ready to beat you. Nope, done. But my hatred has no end. Yeah, no, it does. Done. I guess maybe he doesn't have a Loft Wing in the past. But if he did... and the former goddess turned magical human with long ears to hear the gods, they say, wants to stay here and watch over the Triforce and become a princess. And they don't give you an option to reply, it's just implied. So those carrying the blood of the goddess and the hero, they must have had many little links. And when everything's faded into legend, it starts all over again with... Vati, I think, was from Minish Cap. And then did the Four Swords stuff. And this blows away with the clouds. The end. And you're given the option to save, so you can do it again in hero mode.